Mike made an extremely good point in his presentation there, where he was talking about legacy systems and legacy security and how the legacy security framework ended at the perimeter. So we think the bad guys are out here, our stuff is in here, and we want to keep the bad guys here and the good guys here. In our modern world, we don't have the bad guys out here and the good guys over here. We have the good guys and the bad guys all thrown around all over the place all together. Why is that? Because not only our network is not contained inside of one location anymore. We have cloud apps and SaaS infrastructure. We have people who are not working in the office anymore. Maybe they can't VPN in. They have BYOD devices. They're coming in from anywhere at any time. So we cannot stop our security at the perimeter anymore. And that's really the core concept that Zero Trust is trying to address. So when we have a Zero Trust environment, we don't care if that request for access is coming from inside our network or outside our network. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It matters who it's coming from and what they're requesting. So if we're looking at who it's coming from, what is the most important part of that? Knowing your identities. So you can't have a Zero Trust infrastructure without knowing who should be allowed to do what. So if we look here on this slide on that's up on the screen here, we see that we have our identities over here on the top left, and we have our devices that they're coming in from. We don't know if those devices are internal, external. We don't know if there are devices, some BYOD devices, or some tablet that our user picked up off the street and figured out that, hey, I can log into this and I can go make a request to do my stuff. What we care about is the person making the request a good guy or a bad guy? So that's where our security and compliance engine comes in. Every single request that we have needs to be routed through our security and compliance engine, because we're always assuming that every single request was a breach. So we never trust it, and we always verify it. Our security and compliance engine is built with a ton of rules to figure out who can access what and when and where and from why, whatever reason. So that is really the core concept of Zero Trust. Always verify every single access, because we never trust that access request is coming from somebody that is a good actor. Everybody's a bad actor until proven otherwise. So we have our security and compliance engine that makes the decision. We get access if we meet other requirements. But we don't stop there. It's a continuous verification. That person's going to make another request for access. Does that request for access make sense based on who they are? We don't know until we go and inspect that request in our security and compliance engine. So it's always a loop. Every single request is going to be verified. So if we move on to the next slide, we'll see kind of how all that plays into with the identity solution. So here at the bottom, we have our foundation for our Zero Trust. What is our foundation for Zero Trust? It's identity. So we know who should have access because we have the authoritative sources telling us whether it's HR or our vendor lists or our customer databases, depending on what the access request is for. They might all have valid reasons to make requests for our data. So those are coming in from our authoritative sources, and those are going to be presented into our identity system, which is going to provision you out to the various applications, whether they're on-prem or in the cloud. And that's going to allow our security and compliance engine to make the correct decisions for what access should be granted and what should be denied. So we have a continuous loop of certifications in there as well. Not only do we care about what your access was on day one when you started and your role when you started, we want to know at intervals of time, do you still need that access? You change from job A to job B, you are going to need different access. You continue doing your work and 5 applications have been removed from your network and they've been replaced by other things. I don't need to be in the same security groups I was in anymore. So we're going to continually certify your access to make sure that the access that you have today is the access that you need today. We don't care what your access you needed yesterday was, we care what you need today. That's going to allow our compliance engine to make sure that whatever access you're requesting today is the access that you need. And we want to be not a barrier to our people, that are good actors. We want to be a barrier to our bad actors, which means we need to have the right data for the decision engine to make the right decisions. And that is the core concept of zero trust. So